Hello students of class 9. Student, today we are going to start with the new topic how the computer works. In this chapter, in this with this topic we will understand about the introductions of the computer, what computer works and how. So now student, we see here this is a computer and we can see here the parts of the computer also. But one question is arise here, what is a computer? As we know student, a computer is a programmable electronic device. It takes data through input devices. It processes data according to a sequence of instructions provided in the form of program. The result is called the output. So here student, we will talk about here the parts of the computer and its component too. So as we know here, the main parts of the computer, that is called here the IPO, means input, process and output. So here let's talk about these important component of computer system. Student, we can see here input, process and output, that is called the output here. And first, as we talked about here, the what is a computer as electronic device process it information. But now after this question arises, how computer works. The computer works as we know कि computer is an electronic device and we can give instructions to execute any work, and this done by IPO cycle, means when we input anything into the computer, then it process and then it goes output by the printer and on the monitor. So let's see here the input, data and instruction. The input, we can give instructions by some devices, keyboard, mouse, camera, mic, and consisted of these input, data and instruction makes as a here input. And in the inputting we can use here numbers and some instructions other, and we use here the many huge amount of data for schools and banks, schools for giving the informations, and for the result creation bank use the accounts here. So now here input as a how it works, input devices. So as we know here input devices, as there are some devices, and this is the small chip that is called the CPU, and CPU consisted by some component here, very important component, that is the ALU, arithmetic logical unit. CU, it is a control unit, and it is some registers, that is a very important memory. The ALU, it is a carry out the arithmetic logical instructions. CU controls the sequence of instructions, and register stores its values. And then after we understand here about the memory as a ROM and RAM. These are the some important memory of the computer, which is responsible to store the huge responsible to store the amount of data, and it sends the informations to the monitor, speaker, printer, plotter, means output. So here student, we understand the concept about the input, process, output cycle. Students, let's understand the about the computer works, how it computer works. So we can see the actual working of the computer by its diagram. So let's discuss about the block diagram of computer. By this diagram we can understand the actual working of computer. So let's see. Student, this is the block diagram of computer, and you can see the every component of computer is given here as a one by one step. We will talk about it, how it works, and all the components constitute and work together here. So here, as first we talk about here the input unit here. The input, as we understand, the input, any information or data given to the computer is called input. The device using which computer takes input is called an input device. The input unit in a computer can consist of one or more input devices attached to your computer. The input devices are normally seen along with all computers are keyboard and mouse. But there are special input devices like the magnetic character reader, MICR, optical character reader, OCR, joystick, etc. So any input device takes input, converts it to binary form, and then passes it on to the CPU for processing. This is because all the digital computers can understand only binary data. Input data can be both data or instruction, as I told you earlier about here. Okay, input data can be both data or instructions here. So let's talk about here the CPU. That is a CPU is a part of the central processing unit, and this is responsible unit to execute all the function inside the computer. Means, as we know, the CPU is called the brain of computer. The here CPU is the core of the computer, we can say, and where all the processing is done, and it is divided into primary memory, arithmetic logic unit, and control unit. The CPU is also called the brain of the computer. So here as a CPU. Then we talk about here the control unit. Control unit, this is, you can see, this is a control unit, that is called the CU. The control unit acts like the traffic police. Its main function is to control and coordinate the flow of data and instructions between all the other parts of the CPU. Neither does it hold data or process anything. Normally, the first program instruction is moved into the control unit from the primary memory. This is interrupted and appropriate signals are sent out to execute the instructions. This is done with each instructions till the end. Thus, this is a sort of manager of all operations that take place within the system. The main three factors that affects the computer's performance are CPU speed, RAM size, and the number of applications simultaneously executing here. The control unit, as it is a very important component inside the CPU. As I told you, okay, this is understand as a boss of the this unit. It control and coordinate all the function inside the computer here. Then we talk about here the arithmetical and logical unit. Student, as you know, when you solve any sums or arithmetic calculation, then you use your brain, and that unit where you store the information related to the maths. The here such as a store such as a unit which works for only the arithmetical and logical problems. So here ALU is responsible for doing all the arithmetic calculations and logical operations. The data and instructions are sent from the input area of the memory to the ALU. The processing take place here and the results are sent back to the memory again. The CPU uses operations like additions, subtraction, multiplications, division for arithmetic operation and gives numeric results. Logical comparisons always result in a true or false value. Comparisons are done using relational operators like greater than, lesser than. As you know, I think this symbol, student, you know, this is a lesser than, and here lesser than equal sign, and greater than equal sign, and here not equal. So student, we find these are some comparison operator in the computer, but these operators done by ALU unit here. So now this is a air unit and it is responsible to all calculation related to the arithmetical operations here. So let's talk about here the memory unit. Now this memory unit, as no student, without the memory, computer cannot store, cannot give anything in future, like as our brain have a memory unit, have a memory storage capacity to store the all the variety of the information inside us, and in the needs of the time we use that memory, we use that information by our brain here. So here as a memory unit, it is a very important for all computer. That's why computer can store the huge amount of data here. Student, we see here the memory unit. This is a memory unit, and here the primary, we can give the name of the here the primary memory is also called the main memory of the computer here. The CPU directly stores and retrieves the information from here. The primary memory, that is a here the primary memory means memory unit I am telling to you of two types here of memory technologies, for example RAM and ROM. RAM, as we know here, random access memory, and ROM, it is a read only memory here. The, as we know here, RAM, it is a read access memory, means in this type of memory we can read only, I mean in the RAM we can read and write, but in ROM we can read only here. The first here, RAM as a RAM, random access memory, it is the read write memory, but it is a temporary storage area. All data fed through the input devices is stored in the input storage area till they are ready to be processed. It holds the data that is being processed and also the intermediate results in the working area. The final results of any process are stored in the output storage area. The program are stored in the instruction area. ROM, as I told you about, the ROM stands for read only memory. The student, it is very necessary to understand and learn the full form of the all the components like CPU, LU, MU, and RAM, ROM, ICR, OCR, MICR, and these are some terms related to the computer, and it is very necessary to learn here. The ROM, it is a stand for read only memory and has the permanent information here. And now last, it is a output. About the output here, the output as unit and information or data sent out as a result form the computer is called the output. The device using which computer sends out is called an output device. The output unit in a computer can consist of one or more output devices attached to your computer. The output devices normally seen along with the computers are the visual display unit, that is called the VDU, and the printer. There are output devices like the printer, plotters, and some used for specialized task. The student, as today I told you about the what is a computer and how computer works, about the IPO cycle, and now this was the block diagram of computer. The student, I think you will see this video properly and thoroughly, and you will learn something important terms related to your this chapter. So thank you student, thank you for watching the video.